Hello and welcome back to inmr, where in today's podcast I'm going to explain Lee Carsley's tactics and how he might set up the England squad in the Nations League. So let's get straight into it with a look at his style of play in the under-21 sides. Carsley has tended to favour a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 formation in possession, which is a structure that allows for lots of freedom in the early build-up. His aim is to dominate the ball but not have constant possession, so instead there's more of a freedom of movement and rotation that eventually opens the door for forwards to exploit the space. A double pivot has often been key to this, sometimes operating ahead of an adapted backline trio, with the fourth defender moving higher to play in the midfield line. This is usually one of the fullbacks, allowing the winger to go narrow. Carsley's team then has an extra central body to help control possession and progression of the ball. This has been seen on both sides of the pitch, with central midfielders also rotating the other way on occasion, especially against sides who defend by man marking. Carsley has frequently used players in different roles for England than the ones they're used to when playing club football. For example, he's used players like Cole Palmer or Angel Gomez in much deeper pivot roles to assist in the build-up. Carsley is also built with a double pivot ahead of the back line, avoiding players moving forward to overload the next line. However, he will still deploy and allow for rotations between players, with the overall structure remaining. One particularly clever movement Carsley's under-21 side has shown is when the widest attacker from the front line briefly swaps with the fullback. So in this example, you've got Max Aarons and Jacob Ramsey quickly switching. This allows the attacker to receive the ball to feet much deeper, but the key there is that they avoid all defensive pressure, as the fullback that advances occupies the opposing fullback. From here, the receiving attacker can drive forward from deep, unopposed. They can then combine with pace to break lines through the support of the pivots, the high fullback or central attacking players, which Carsley has in an abundance. Carsley's ideas place a lot of trust in his players as he uses them in a very dynamic fashion. The likes of Emil Smith-Rowe and Jacob Ramsey, for example, have been used in differing wide roles to that seen at their clubs when playing under Carsley in the England 21 squad. Once into the final third, at least one of the wingers will provide maximum width. With England's 21s, Carsley initially used two wingers to provide the width, who would pin the opposing fullbacks, and then they'd get support offered by very advanced number 8s. Inside channel combinations were key for Carsley as well, with the front line of 5 supported by a pivot and 2 narrowed fullbacks. This usually stemmed from an initial in-possession 4-3-3, with the fullbacks also available to underlap or overlap from deep areas. As Carsley's rotations and flexibility progressed with the 21s, it became more common for just one winger to hold the width. On at least one side, an advancing fullback, a widening central forward or a drifting midfielder has moved into the wide spaces. These movements have helped better disrupt opposing blocks as teams quickly sit off England when they cleanly build and begin to dominate possession. With the responsibility Carsley gives his players, they have adapted and changed roles in possession to support the attacks in the wide areas. Anthony Gordon and Morgan Gibbs-White are great examples of players Carsley's used in those roles that differ from their club positions, and on occasion both have led the front line as the team's highest central attacker, and of course naturally these players have both drifted and rotated from this starting position into the wide areas. The inside channels have also been key for Carsley. The spaces around and inside the opposing fullbacks have been consistently targeted during England's attacking play and in sustained periods of possession. These come from number 8s running beyond, narrowed wingers driving through, or a central forward going wide. Central attacking play has been most evident on the counter-attack from a 4-4-2 setup, which takes us nicely on to Carsley's out-of-possession tactics. Without the ball, Carsley has adopted a 4-4-2 block. When pressing high up the pitch, England's under-21s had 4 players committing onto the opposing back line. This meant more bodies higher and a more aggressive style of press, but also more teammates in more dangerous positions when England regained possession in the opposition half. The biggest benefit to this defending formation is England's counter-attacking threat, especially in those central spaces. When in a more reserved block, England still look to control the game, with the 2 strikers screening any central passes. They cover and protect access into the opposing pivots, while ideally positioned to counter-attack when the time comes. Pacey attackers such as Gibbs-White and Gordon have played this role, ready to burst forward when they win the ball back, as you can see on screen. In terms of players that are going to suit this system, I think the double pivots of Declan Rice and Kobbie Mainoo is going to stay. They're great protectors and also good in the build-up. For wingers, I think Anthony Gordon's going to get a lot more game time under Carsley. Noni Madueke as well. We could see get his chance. They're both quick, agile ball carriers who are equally comfortable playing wide on the left or right, allowing them to rotate as Carsley likes. And of course, they've already succeeded in his system. Central players like Morgan Gibbs-White as well. I think, he's succeeded under Carsley in the past and poses a counter-attacking threat due to his energy out of possession. The big question is, will Kane be able to fulfil his role up front? For me, only if he's got a pacey player alongside him. Cole Palmer, Phil Foden and Ollie Watkins have all withdrawn, but we could see Gordon play more centrally in phases to support Harry Kane. Another big question, can Carsley be the man to solve the Trent Alexander-Arnold problem? First off, he is down as a defender, which is a positive sign. Gareth Southgate rated the attacking abilities of Trent more than his defensive ones to put him down as a midfielder, but of course that experiment in the Euros wasn't as successful as we initially thought it would be. But with Kyle Walker and Reece James now out of the squad and Kieran Trippier retiring from international football, now is the perfect time for Trent to shine in his natural position. And in Carsley's new look, possession-hungry side, it could turn out to be a match made in heaven. Core of players have dominated the England team for the last 3 major tournaments, but under Carsley that is likely to change, and he's already shown a willingness to put trust in the youth players. 6 members of Carsley's first squad won the Under-21 European Championships for England back in 2023. That's Angel Gomez, Noni Madueke, Morgan Gibbs-White, Cole Palmer, Anthony Gordon and Levi Colwill. So rather than just follow Southgate's preferences, Carsley is going to bring in changes wherever he sees fit. Another example of this is obviously bringing back players who had fallen out of favour under Southgate, such as Manchester City forward Jack Grealish, who missed out on the Euros, but he has been selected for this international break. The inclusions of players like Gomez and Gibbs-White suggest that Carsley is going to be loyal to players who have done well for him in the past, and bar the obvious, there's going to be very few players that are guaranteed a spot in the squad in this new era. In terms of those new players that have been called in, Angel Gomez I think was the standout one. I think many Premier League fans have probably forgotten about him after he left Man United 4 years ago, but he has been doing very well at Lille in Ligue 1. And last summer, in the Under-21s European Championship, he was instrumental, lining up alongside Curtis Jones, who I think probably would have also been called up for Carsley's squad if he was fit. Morgan Gibbs-White was a key player for Carsley throughout his Under-21s tenure, and without Jude Bellingham, I don't think it's going to be surprising to see Gibbs-White start. Carsley trusts him immensely and values the track record of winning major tournaments that Gibbs-White has, having also won the Under-17 World Cup. So overall, England fans can expect a more fluid England team that should be very solid out of possession and very dominant in possession. England play Ireland and Finland in this international break, so we'll get a good chance to see Carsley's ideas, and if successful, he could even be made permanent manager of the England team. That is where I'm going to end today's podcast, but there's plenty of others you can go and listen to. For more content, be sure to check out my website, inmr.journalist.co.uk. On there you can find match reports, club updates, analysis pieces and so much more. And if that's not enough, INMR is also on X and Instagram, so you can follow me on there for daily football updates. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.